Welcome to Lunch Break with the Rabbi. Today is Wednesday, November 4th. I hope you're all doing well today. And we are going to move on with our fascinating facts as we began looking at different issues in Judaism, their reasons, understanding their meaning, where they come from, what they do, and how we go about them. Being that this week in the Torah reading, we read about how Avraham circumcised himself and was recuperating from his circumcision and the birth of the Jewish people, it's an opportune moment to discuss fascinating facts about the life and the life cycles in the Jewish calendar. The Talmud says, grab and eat and grab and drink, because life is like a wedding. Not like necessarily the very famous American adage, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die. But over here, the Talmud uses the terminology, clever one, hurry eat, hurry and drink, because the world of which we must depart was like a wedding feast. Why is it? Why does the Talmud use the terminology that the world is like a wedding feast? Why not like a bris? Why not like a bar mitzvah? What's the wedding feast? And if you look at the concept of the metaphor of a wedding feast, it takes us back to the concept of what does it mean, marriage, and what is the purpose of life. Marriage is that you have a husband and a wife coming together in unison to accomplish a common goal. Being together, loving each other, and working as one to bring a family into this world. The same idea is also the human being, is the body and soul, which is fused together. Just like in a marriage, the husband and wife are two halves that become a whole. So too, the body and the soul are two halves that only with the both of them working in unison and in tandem are they able to accomplish their mission. Over here, the message the Talmud was giving his student was that the job of us as human beings in this world is in order to accomplish a greater goal. The fusion of the body and soul is the ultimate reality. The fusion of the body and the soul gives us the ability to fulfill our purpose in this world. So therefore, indulge, eat, drink, meaning do as much as you can as the body and soul are together, because only then will you be able to accomplish its mission. Once unfortunate time comes that the soul then leaves its body, the soul can no longer achieve and accomplish as it was in the body. So too the body can no longer accomplish and do its goal, as so long as the soul is not there. They are both needed for each other, and as long as they're together, they can accomplish their goal. Life is like a wedding feast. Only with the two together can we enjoy and celebrate and bring about a great family. But then we go into, from there, segues and tells us about birth. What is it about birth? What's so unique about birth? Birth is that time while the tranquil soul is sitting in the mother's womb, enjoying and basking in God's glory. The soul is sent down from on high to come into this physical, tumultuous, crazy world. But why? For what? How does it have the opportunity? How does it have the wherewithal to stand up against the difficult times that it may encounter? What gives it the strength to be able to stand up the challenges of what it happens? And the Talmud goes on to explain and says that while a child is in his mother's womb, the Talmud tells us that it is taught the entire Torah. And the moment a child comes into the world, a malach, an angel, comes and hits the child on its lip, and it forgets the entire Torah it studied. Some want to say that's the little indent there. It's from the malach's little flick that gives it to try to forget the Torah. The purpose, the question is, and the obvious question is, why study it if you're going to forget it? Why make the child forget it? Let the child come into the world knowing all the Torah. And the commentators explain that the purpose of the child studying the Torah is if you ever have that deja vu moment, that you learn something and go, aha, that's what it was discussing. This is exactly what it means. Why we teach the child the entire Torah. We have to give the child the wherewithal when it comes into the world to make the right choices, because or else, look, you have the physical world in front of you, lots of good things, seemingly good at least. How do we know that we can make the appropriate choice? So we arm the child with the Torah, though it forgot it, but it's in the subconscious. And when you study something of Torah, the reason why it's not so difficult for you to grasp, even though this is something heavenly, godly, spiritual, infinite, and divine, because you once learned it. And all you're really doing now is remembering what you were taught. You're recalling what you've once learned. You're going, aha, that's what I learned many, many, many months, many, many years ago when I was in my mother's womb. It's only a question of recalling, not studying from scratch. So every single Jew, when they come into this world, has a certain responsiveness automatically in gravitas towards the Torah, towards Judaism, towards godliness, whether they realize it or not, because they have once been exposed to it. For that reason, we find in the Talmud that there's a story told about Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, that his mother would bring him while he was still a young child, his mother would bring him to the synagogue so he should hear the words of the sages being studied. And he was called Ashrei Yeladate, lucky is the one who gave birth to him. Because they would make sure that from the moment that even while she conceived him in the belly of his mom, she would come to the synagogue, she would expose him to words of Torah, so that when he was born, he automatically had an inkling and a desire for it. Just like today they found with modern science that a child or a baby in the womb, whatever it's exposed to while it's in the womb, it is able to hear it and has a certain gravitation towards it once it gets birth. Whether it's a certain type of music, a certain type of talk, whatever it may be. And the same way the child, the mom, eats for two, it also hears for two and sees for two. In Kabbalah, it explains that a woman who's pregnant shouldn't go to a zoo or see things that are impure, all because it can affect the child in the womb. The same is true that when the child hears words of Torah in the womb, because it's studying the Torah, once it's born, it has an effect on it even after the child is born and so on. To the extent that every single time that the child learns later on when it comes into the world, it's a matter of recalling what it once studied. And because of that, it has the ability to express itself and to touch divine. Now, once a child is born, that's an unbelievable happy occasion. A momentous occasion on a physical level. It marks the moment when the child becomes independent and is no longer reliant on the nourishment of the mother. It is able to breathe on its own and so on. The beauty of the birth of a child. In fact, it's an interesting thing. There was a great rabbi, his name was Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. He left a will, it's called Tzavos Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. Many customs that we know of today come from this will of Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. And we do those things, not necessarily does he give a reason or a rationale. It was, so to speak, his last will and testament to his family, and because of that was adapted to many different things that we find in Jewish law. One of them that he mentions is, and here's a little tidbit or fascinating fact, which is that a mother, the first time she nurses her child, she nursed the child from the left breast. This way, the baby's first meal comes from the place that is closest to the heart, and it should be a heartfelt nourishment. But besides for the fact that the child now becomes an independent being, But over here also comes a whole new entity, the serenity that the soul experienced while it was on high, the basking in God's greatness that the soul experienced, all of a sudden emerges into this physical body. The fusion of the body and soul now come together in unison to accomplish a goal and a common task. And for that reason, the anniversary of the moment that the soul is embarked on this mission is celebrated, because now it's given a task that nobody else can do. The moment the child comes into the world, the moment the fusion of soul and body happen, God tells this soul, I have given you a task that there is nobody in the universe that can do that task but you. I have now taken a mission that only you can accomplish, and there's a reason why you were born. Your birthday celebrates the fact that you matter, that God says, yes, I need you to fulfill the world's mission. One of the greatest holidays that we celebrate are all about a birthday. Rosh Hashanah celebrates the birthday of Adam, the first man, where God said the fusion of body and soul is what makes the world a difference. Passover is the birth of the Jewish people, where God said it's the Jewish nation that's going to transform the world, accept the Torah, move into the land of Israel, and be a light unto the nations. So the Jewish birthday is not just a day on the calendar. The Jewish birthday is not just a day that you mark off that you get older, but it's an opportunity for you to realize and recognize, take some time and reflection and understand that your fusion of body and soul, your ultimate mission in the world was given to you, and that God tells you, you matter. Next week, we'll continue with the concept, or tomorrow we'll continue with the concept of circumcision, some myths and facts and fascinating facts about the concept of circumcision. Thank you for joining me today on Lunch Break with the Rabbi. Just a little reminder, we'll be starting our course on Secrets of the Bible starting next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Please register at jewishli.com/JLI fall to join us on this unbelievable course of Secrets of the Bible. Wishing you the very best, and remember, you matter.